Today's going to be fun because we're going to be talking about fighting. Now, I don't know about you, and I know being a Christian that we're not so, get into fighting seems like a topic that, Dr. Weiss, why are you talking about that? Because I live in the real world. I live in the world that you live in, where not every day is peace and flowers and, music in the background. Sometimes there's conflict, and that can be a good thing, but how do we actually navigate that so that we actually get the results that we want, which is peace and be able to resolve problems? That's why I'm talking about this today. There's going to be conflict in any relationship because you're two different people with two different perspectives. If you're married, two different genders, two different sets of priorities, multiple sets of emotions, and different family values and other values are coming to merge on whatever the issue is. And I'm going to say something that you might kind of think about. Conflict is good. You need to fight. Actually, when I do marriage conferences, I have people fight. Now, when they fight, there's not one sound in the room. I'm going to show you how to do that as we talk through this today. In fact, I'd be more concerned if you weren't having some conflict in your relationships. And I'm not talking about the big things. Hopefully the big things you got out of the way, that you're both following Jesus, how you want to send your kids to school, how you vote, all the big stuff. You probably have most of those cleared up. These are the conflicts that can show up just doing life, and finding out even 5 years into your relationship that you're doing something that doesn't make sense. And the reason you're doing it is because your family's always done it and their family's always done it a different way. And now you're still having the same conversation every holiday about this particular thing. And many of you understand what I'm talking about. Conflict just happens. So you have to have a method and a process to do conflict well and to fight fair. Okay, because you can fight dysfunctionally or you can fight functionally. And that makes a big difference. And I can tell you in Sunday school, you haven't learned how to have a fight. Okay, you learn a lot of great Bible stuff and I'm all good with that. But you haven't learned how to fight. And fighting is what you do in a relationship again and again and again and again and again. Now, avoiding conflict makes life even worse for everybody. You have that person who just doesn't want to talk about stuff, pushes things under the carpet until the pile under the carpet is bigger than the house itself. Fighting is not about proving who is right or who is wrong. Okay? If that's how you fight, you have to watch the rest of the show. Because if you're trying to prove yourself right, you're not fighting. You're trying to create dominance. Okay, you're creating a system where you want to be obeyed and that your thought is the best thought, and it may not be. Conflict and fighting is about getting ideas on the table, to finding out what are the many options that we have in this situation. It's not about, I'm right, you're wrong, or I'm louder, so you submit to me, or I got a gender and you have to, all that. That is not God's best. Fighting is about getting the different ideas on the table from as many sources, including yourselves, and then finding the one that fits the best. Fighting makes you actually stronger as a couple or even as a family. And if you're fighting well, conflict will make you more creative. And I have found that when you fight well in relationships in general, you make friends. Some of the people who had conflict with me when we sat down and talked through stuff, we became friends and respected one another. But had we not done that, they would have just stayed contentious toward me, even though I didn't know that contentiousness existed. But when we talk, we have a conflict, we walk through it, clear up misunderstandings, come to different ideas for solutions. We can maintain relationships and strengthen them. Jesus told us we would have conflicts. Okay, he told us that the world would hate us and that our families would have frustrations with us. Let's go to Luke, okay? Let's go to the Word of God, Luke 12, 52, 53. From now on, in one house, there will be 5 divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. And if you have children, you get this, okay? They will be divided. father against son, and son against father, and mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, and mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and her daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and it goes on. So Jesus wasn't saying, you're going to have this peaceful, calm life all the time. Sometimes it'll be because of your faith, but sometimes it's because of your personality, the conflicts in your personality, especially if you multiply your personality with children. Because sometimes you'll look at your children and you go, I'm not that excited about you because you look just like me right now and I'm not liking it, right? Because sometimes they mirror back to you a flaw or something that you have that needs to be addressed. And it's like, wow, right? Now, we're not fighting to hurt people. That's not what fighting's about, okay? We're fighting toward solutions. We're on the same team to start with. We're not on opposite teams. If you have to get your spouse to be Darth Vader, okay, or your child has to be Darth Vader, okay, they have to be from the dark force, you're already in the wrong mode. You're not fighting. You are really trying to make sure that you look good and that you're right and creating, again, a dominant system. That's not conflict resolution, okay? Now, some of us are called to fight, okay? And we are naturally gifted at fighting against injustice in the culture or even in the church and the wrongs that are going on even in our schools and stuff like that. And that's great. Some are called to fight in politics and we should honor them and vote for them. Some are called to fight even at the school board level. Some will fight against topics like cultural evils that are in our cities right now. We're all called to fight in some way. I mean, the enemy has waged war against the church, which means we're already in a battle, all right? But when you have conflict, when you fight, always fight from a position of respect, okay? We are in a war. We do have conflicts, even in our families. But if your children feel that you respect them when you're having a conflict, or your husband or wife feels they are respected, you are much likely to get further in the conversation. Now, the enemy declared war against all humanity from the beginning. In Ephesians 6:12, it says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places," okay? Some of the fights you're having are influenced spiritually. Some of them are just influenced by your flesh, your own personal preferences, your personality quirks, whatever. Some of it's your responsibility or theirs, and you have to deal with these issues. Some of it's maturing in the process as a couple or as a family or as a unit, even at work. These tools that I'm going to walk you through can help you decipher what a conflict is and get right to solving the problems and feel like everyone is being heard. And when that happens and there's a voice in the solution, then you might have peace for that moment.